Salad or Dolly, threw a great party. We all drank Bacardi, it got kinda gnarly. We're light as a feather, we're tougher than leather. Together we're weirder together.
Elvis was a hero to most, but he never meant shit to me. You
What?
see, straight out racist. The sucker was simple and plain.
Coming out swinging, Ione Sky. Beautiful babies. It's Weirder Together.
Hello.
Hello, this is Ben Lee.
Ione Sky.
Yeah, and Public Enemy, Fight the Power.
I know. The other day I was saying we were, when you're in the car and you just like feel like DJing as you're driving, and I was like, can you put a song on? Can you put on?
Well, wait, but what was so cute about it was this beautiful day. Sun was out. It was breezy. I was expecting you to say, like, can you put on some Gordon Lightfoot or something? And you were like, can you put on a song for me? How about Fight the Power? And I was like, hell yeah, babe.
Well, I am 90s rap, 80s, 90s rap age.
Do you remember how you felt hearing that song, Public Enemy?
I'll never forget when I first heard NWA.
Oof,
I was
me
driving
too.
down Laurel Canyon Boulevard with my brother, and he said, oh, you have to hear this. And he put on NWA, and it like blew my mind, like a lot of people.
How old were you?
Whenever it came out, it had just come out. And then, yeah, I remember Public Enemy. Yeah, the whole album, the whole thing. Like Public Enemy was a little later than NWA, or when?
I'm
was
not
it?
sure.
Or earlier. Well, we gotta look
I
that up.
may have talked about this on the pod, but I remember I got 100 Miles and Running was the NWA record that I got first. I got a cassette of it, and I was scared and confused because there was this intensely, righteous anger and activist energy and protest energy. And then there was the deep sensuality of the art of sucking dick, which it was just amazing that an artist could hold these two extremes. Because, we've talked about this, when we get really stressed, no one feels like making out.
Right. I know. I was just saying those movies like Spider-Man and so many movies with disaster parts, scary parts, where the couple finally kiss as the world is falling apart.
Yeah, as buildings are exploding.
And it's romantic. But in real life, any stress, anything scary going on, the sex drive goes away for me.
Yeah.
Except they say funerals people sometimes feel like doing it at a funeral because it's maybe life affirming.
I haven't heard that. Okay.
But NWA, I think the energy and the excitement and the music and the beats and Eazy-E and the whole thing, I feel like I was just so exciting that even, everybody was just so up for it.
Well, and Eazy-E famously creating a safe space for people that like to have multiple beverages at their table. Eazy-E was famous for always having 3 different drinks with his meal. And he said because he grew up very poor and his mum would only ever let him get one drink. And so the indulgence that he really went for was multiple
and people
beverages.
who finally get their money and they get all these little things that they wanted as a little kid. We have a friend who just did this really great short film, and she had the same thing where her parents didn't let her have a lot of beverages at restaurants or at home. So she loves, anytime you go to a restaurant, she'll have a Diet Coke, a glass of wine, an iced tea. So she did this short film, and in the refrigerator of this house, you see this shot, and it's got lined up all these beautiful beverages, all perfectly lined up. And that was just right out of her total fantasy.
And shout out Gator. We'll probably have her on the pod when the thing comes out, when this short film comes out. And she used one of my songs in it too.
Yeah, one of your songs, which is so cute because the couple know all the words. And it's cute because you have some songs that people do know all the words,
but not
to,
that one.
But not that one.
But it's cute. Hey, they're in their own little, closed loop,
and it works out. So NWA. But we're talking about Public Enemy, and so I have to say, as political, NWA, super political, super important. Chuck D felt more powerful and scary to me. But you were saying something interesting that with Flava Flav, it was a perfect combo because this information can go down a little easier because you have this great duo. You've got Chuck D, who's like this strong political intellectual, and then Flava Flav.
It's so amazing because it's almost like the rules of show business are that everything has to be like lubricated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you have a message for the audience, you got to fucking mix that up with some sugar.
Yes.
And Flava Flav, you could see with Chuck D that on one hand, it must be crazy to go, wow, my life is tied to this.
I know they must have gone to school together. I don't know the history.
But it was a brilliant marketing decision because when you think of the iconic Public Enemy imagery, you think of the cop in the crosshairs and Flava Flav with the top hat and the glasses and the clock on his neck.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it really did. It created a levity to it.
Yeah. Did you love the reality show Flava Flav's House?
I prefer to call it Flavor of Love by its actual name, but I like you calling it Flava Flav's House.
Is that where New York was on? New York.
Yeah, Bridget Nielsen.
I know, and Bridget Nielsen, who was with Sly Stone.
Yeah, and what did he? What was
famously?
Yeah, what was? No, I think you should say allegedly here because I don't know.
Allegedly,
if this is urban legend.
Sylvester Stallone, we all know who that is, but there was some funny folklore, or who knows, where he was in his trailer.
Allegedly.
And they recorded, he kept his mic on.
Hot mic. Real Housewife style, head of the game.
And he was getting a BJ. And there's that famous thing where he's like, cradle the balls with your fingers.
Oh, that is so sweet.
I know.
It's nice that he calls it cradling the balls because it's almost like he's just like,
and now
his own sensitivity and his tenderness.
This is what it was. And now I want you to reach down and cradle my balls with your fingers.
Now, when you cradle something,
now, like it's.
Oh, right. It's prescriptive. Like there's a certain course of events. When you cradle, does that imply you also rock the cradle, or is it just the holding of them?
Yeah, just I don't know, cradling. Yeah, cradling while giving a BJ.
So you have a musical question for me.
So we were watching that documentary Yacht Rock.
Oh, yeah.
And
recommended.
I was like losing it over every song, like just totally perfect audience for Yacht Rock.
Well, that's your era, isn't it, too?
Yeah. You're aging.
No, I just mean as a child, you would have heard all that on the radio.
Yeah, for sure.
Hall Notes.
And the time that I don't want to hear it, I don't love that it's called, like when we had a little boat, remember that day with Julia Jones and Diane?
Oh, we rented a boat. Yeah.
And I feel like I thought, oh, maybe I should play Yacht Rock on the boat. But then it was just too.
It was overkill.
Yeah, it was just too on the nose.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But the right moment.
So what is the right moment? Describe Yacht Rock then for people that don't.
It wasn't when I had that chit chat with Christina Applegate. Remember I went to her house?
Oh yeah, tell that story.
Oh well, I just like I've known.
That's a great story.
Christina Applegate, if you don't know, she was in famously with Will Ferrell and.
Oh, Anchorman, but back Married with Children.
She's a Laurel Canyon girl.
Great, funny actress.
She's amazing, and we became friends because we were both in Laurel Canyon But we never like hung out one-on-one a lot. Like it's like we've known each other all these years. And so I went over for that one-on-one, and every song, it was really funny. We had some wine and there was all these 60s and 70s songs on the radio or whatever playlist. And I guess she wanted to sing songs like as they came on, she knew all the words. And I felt so much pressure to
Huge music fan too, right?
Huge, yeah. And I felt all this pressure to like lock eyes with her and sing. But some of the songs I was like, she'd be like, oh, and this one. And like she would sing and I was doing that thing where you like pretend to know the words. Oh my God,
that's like when you're a little kid.
Yes, because I didn't want to like let her down. Also, she had Ricky Lee Jones boots.
Wait, I thought it was Stevie Nicks.
Stevie Nicks boots.
But wait, wasn't there a whole thing you went into a closet?
Yes. So she had Stevie Nicks boots and she was like, you can try them on. You try them on. And I look and they're 5 sizes smaller than my 9. I'm a 9. And Christina Applegate has this probably sweet little lady feet like Stevie Nicks, not Ricky Lee Jones. And she was like, put them on. You can. And she was like kind of pushy. And I was like, they won't fit. So I felt so much pressure. So I like, put them on like halfway. But
And didn't you have some jewelry of Stevie
that was
Nicks'?
from Amy.
Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
did actually.
Yeah.
One of my best friends' dad is Mick Fleetwood from the same band. And when we moved here, she gave me a ring that Stevie Nicks had given her as a special like power to the traveling ring.
Yes, just so you could tap into that,
Yeah.
wild-hearted gypsy quality.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I got really nervous and gave it back to her because I was like, if I lose this,
Yeah.
it'll be sad.
So back to Yacht Rock.
Yacht Rock. So I was loving every single song.
Although those tangents were beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful tangents.
So every song I loved, and I was sensing, because we're so connected, that you weren't loving all the songs the way that I did. And I was like, hey, how's it going? Like, what do you think of this song? And you were like, there was one. So this is my question. Why you liked some more than others? And you said to me, it's the jazz.
I know.
You don't like the jazz in there. You like your jazz pure.
Yeah, I like jazz. I do not want jazz brought into pop music. I don't like it when John Legend does it. I don't like it when
I hear
Jamiroquai
you.
does it. I don't
hear you.
And that's the issue with like Steely Dan and stuff like that. When they go pop,
Yeah.
I'm in. It's like intelligent, like really fast
okay, so
lyrics. and all that.
Steely Dan, you're into. So
No, but Steely Dan have some
What a
jazz
Fool Believes.
ass shit.
Doobie-
I don't know.
Doobie Brothers.
Doobie Brothers, yeah.
So this is it. That's Kenny Loggins. You're a rich girl, Daryl Hall.
See, Kenny
and John,
Loggins,
yeah.
that kind of thing I'm more simpatico towards because it almost comes more from like a singer-songwriter thing. It's when it comes with jazz, I don't know why. It's a prejudice, but I don't like it. It sounds really white to me too, but this is what's weird. Like Questlove and
They love
growing
it.
up, black audiences loved all
yeah.
that yacht rock stuff
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it
yeah.
sounded a lot like, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, all that stuff. It sounded really good on like black radio and at barbecues, and it was
Daryl
like party
Hall and
music.
John Oates.
Yeah, heard of them. Are you just
Did you
reading
like 'em?
Hall and Oates?
Yeah.
I like some of that stuff a lot.
And what about? I don't know. There's also then this soft spot for just like nostalgia, like Christopher Cross.
Yeah, I like Christopher Cross.
Okay.
But this is the thing.
Oh wait, what about Terrace House? Remember that?
Yeah, city pop. Well, that's a genre in
Is that jazzy?
Japan now. That I do not like that music. There is a genre right now happening.
But is it still?
It
Or was
is. It is still happening because Vinny, my friend, gave me a playlist recently. City pop is very complex, semi like groovy, uplifting
and
jazz
only
pop in Tokyo.
Japan.
It hasn't broken through, but there's a couple Japanese city pop bands in Australia, I think.
That show, Terrace House, rest in peace.
I mean, if you are a reality TV aficionado,
This is the best.
truly the Japanese conquered, they perfected reality TV in a way that has not yet been given its flowers. So the format for this show is people come in and out of this house for a length of time that is defined by their personal emotional needs and mission. So like someone would be like, I want to be a chef. So they stay in the house long enough.
It's a dating show.
There is dating on it, but you don't have to
Yeah.
date.
Okay, so it's like a self-development.
It's a personal development type show.
Inside.
And then there's a group of comedians commentating on the show. And
they're
it cuts in
brilliant.
and they are so funny.
So brilliant.
And they did multiple seasons of it. It's a gorgeous show. It ended up being cancelled because one of the
committed suicide.
yeah, because of being cyberbullied and being
And
trolled
they-
online.
and the I heard, I don't know if this is right, but in Japan, suicide, it's the respect that they or something. Like
No,
they
it's not just that. It's that personal accountability on the part of public figures is a real thing.
Right.
So if you have a tragedy or something that brings shame upon a show or a production or a company you have to step out of the spotlight and almost like it's like self-cancellation.
Right.
You got to go do your penance And I remember someone telling us there's like a length of time that you're allowed to come back in, but it's seen as like you gotta go and kind of like think about what
I
you
hope
did.
it comes back.
Yeah, I don't know if it will, but
That was such a good show.
yeah, really powerful show. But do you not see, you know how you're always intrigued? I think the other way you're intrigued, do I like this, do I hate that, is it's incredibly arbitrary what I don't like and don't like. Like I don't have very good reasons behind it.
No, I think it's interesting. I just also...
Aren't you like that with actors though? Just some people bug you?
Oh, sure.
Like in your field.
Yeah.
You have a sort of like, I can get thorny about it in a way that...
Yeah.
I saw a great post the other day of Taylor Swift toasting Kendrick. I think it was at the Grammys.
I saw
and
that.
it just said, one lifelong hater toasting another lifelong hater. It's so beautiful. It brings tears to my eyes. And there is something about that. There is something about musicians that we are haters. Like deep down, we are haters.
Oh, okay.
You know, even the nicest musician is kind of like, you can't become successful as a musician without having a certain amount of hate in your heart.
Okay.
I feel like that is what propels people towards success.
Except for Dolly
Parton. I think she had hatred in her heart. I don't know who it's there for. You don't ever have to let on. It can just be personal motivation.
more than other people, more than actors or directors or...
I don't know. I just know musicians. I know musicians are motivated out of spite and out of revenge.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm going to think about that.
Do you have any kind of, even mentally, like an enemies list in your mind?
Of course.
And do you physically
you know
have it?
me?
No, but do you have it written down or is it just in your mind?
Why would I
Okay.
write it down?
I don't know. Because I started one the other day.
Really?
I wrote it down, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Wait, enemies?
Well, people that I
Have resentment.
want to prove something to
Okay.
still. I still want to. I perceive...
Because you perceive what?
Well, like for instance, there was a woman on. She died, but she was on not as a result of being on my enemies list. But there was a woman who left me waiting for 2 hours once at a record label.
Right.
And it was when I made Awake Is the New Sleep. And I sat outside just talking to Selwyn, you know, the rapper, R&B. He's like an early 2000s R&B guy.
See, there was a silver lining to it.
Yeah. But anyway, I felt like my part of when I won all the arias for Awake Is the New Sleep, partly what I was enjoying that night at the arias was that she was there.
Yeah.
And that because she'd like passed,
All the
she'd missed the
people-
opportunity.
All the people who didn't believe in you.
There's nothing wrong with that. I
No,
think that's
no.
actually really
Oh,
healthy
for
to want to
sure.
prove yourself.
Yeah.
You know, that's all I mean by enemies. I don't wish ill upon anybody, but I do like the idea that there's certain people that you do hope one day the shoe will be on the other foot where they will have to come to you for a favor. And you can just have that brief knowing moment before you say yes and help them.
Sure.
Of like, yeah, okay, just acknowledging that,
Yeah.
you know, the chickens are coming home to roost.
Yeah, exactly. No, I have so many. And just things that people have said that are seared into your brain. That...
And you talk about in your book, in your memoir, Say Everything, which is out next week, you talk about how a huge motivation for you in like getting famous was wanting your dad, who had not been present through your childhood, you wanted him to see you on the cover of a magazine. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think people can relate.
And it was Tatler was the one you really wanted, or what
No,
was
that's
it?
that's the only magazine I was on the cover of, I think. Oh, maybe not. No, maybe not. But that was maybe the biggest magazine I was on the cover of so far.
I am I like the attitude. All right, babe. I like it.
So far.
I am very curious though. Are you going to get any calls for like, you know, we need to have a conversation? Not angry, but just like, are there going to be some intense phone calls after the book comes out and people process what you've said and your side of things that they may not have been aware of?
Yeah. I hope. I mean, I was warned the things that you think, the people you think are going to be upset, or the things you think people are going to flag might not be the things that are, and then you'll be surprised by what gets flagged.
Yeah.
Well, that was more going through the legal. When you do a memoir, you have legal England and Australia are different to America. Like when they comb over what you have to take out for legal reasons. They're almost reverse. Like it's like famous people you can basically go to town.
Yeah, that's right.
And non-famous people, you have to change all their names.
In Australia, everyone's the same. So
Right.
that's how Jeffrey Rush won that lawsuit a couple of years back, because even if you're a celebrity, you still are protected theoretically by the same privacy laws or anti-defamation laws. Yeah, and in America, I do think this is fundamental to the way pop culture operates, that like basically if you want to be famous in America, you got to be able to handle all of it.
Yeah.
You have no rights as a public person.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about a couple of them, but I think it'll be okay.
I wanted to ask you about, so you had this fascinating experience last week doing media training.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, as people who've both dealt with the media for
I
decades,
just said,
I was
listen,
like,
this is how I would answer if I was not reined in.
But so wait, go back a step. What is the premise of media training? Like, what's the point of it for people who don't know?
Well, for one, to have, if somebody talks about something that you feel uncomfortable about, to have something, it's kind of like political, have some sort of line that you can go to.
So it's basically so that you go into your media obligations with a sense that you know how to like protect yourself or keep it on point
Yes.
for your narrative or whatever. Okay.
Yeah, and just to kind of, like I've done publicity tours for film and TV, but that's talking about a project, and you kind of want to get your lines down for that too, but of course be natural. But yeah, just sort of, one of the questions, why this book now? Why now? And you can kind of turn it into like a long therapy session, but it's kind of just to rein it in.
Especially if you're on video or podcast and they want
Sure.
like little snippets and
Yeah,
like.
because some long form interviews you can just go to town and talk. But
So what were your big takeaways?
that I didn't know how to answer why this now, why now.
And what have you come up with? Why this way now?
Well, that I was at the good space, like why wisdom wise.
That's great. This is what a soundbite. How long did you work on this for?
I'm going to wrap it.
It's a headline.
Wisdom-wise, I was
Yeah,
at the right place.
Yeah.
No, just it was because of my age. I'm able to talk about things in a more objective way. Like
Okay.
doing it at a younger age, I think I wouldn't have the kind of brain that could kind of put together the story in the right way. And there was sort of an interest in the 90s and 80s, especially the 90s, it felt like, but between the kids, my own daughters, like so curious about what were the 90s like.
Totally.
And other people kind of asking me and just seeing in the world that people were interested. And interested in my side of the story, not just about dating Anthony Kiedis from the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Right.
What was it like your side of that story?
Yeah,
but
that's
also just my side of the story of just my whole career and life and being in LA and all of that.
concise. That was great.
Wisdom wise.
Wisdom wise. Yeah, you did a TikTok recently
4 years ago.
with that trend. No, with that trend going around of, oh, you're so funny.
Oh,
it's
got
because
it.
and
Right.
it was actually, it kind of went a little viral. It got like,
Yeah.
500,000 views or whatever. But it was interesting, the whole conversation. And I think this is a big part of what you're going to be asked about. But the whole thing about dating and ages and all that stuff and how different that was in the 80s and early 90s to
Yeah,
how it is now.
Sure. Yeah, how to answer, not just say, well, it was a different time, which is part of me would say that.
Well, it legit was a different time.
Yeah, answering like older boyfriends and being so young, and it was a different time, but there's more to it than that.
And do you feel like it's, I mean, we've already been through it with Kate, our oldest, but with Goldie now, she's 15.
Mm-hmm.
Like she is the age when all this was like happening to you. Does that give you any different sense of perspective about it? Like when you look at her and think about what you were doing at 15.
I mean, I did have my mom come around with me, but she's kind of getting up to no good as well. So I don't know. On one hand, kids are kids, you know, they're still sort of, you break it down with like, say, a group of friends. Both my kids are sort of, I think I was a little bit more rebellious, but they're both kind of in that category of being curious, but they basically are kind of observing. Is that how to say it? Observing. They're kind of watching. And what I'm saying is looking at their classes, there's always the kids who are going crazy and then the ones that are watching and then the ones that are kind of somewhere in the middle. So yeah, I think, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's interesting. Working at that age, we have that in common. You were also working.
I also found it kind
at
of...
14, 15.
Yeah. I also thought, just reading through the comments on that TikTok you did, I was amazed how many women you were part of, like, your sexual fluidity and boldness was like, it was a part of a lot of women accepting the complexity of their own sexual identities too. It was that's something that really was a different time. Like, there was not, nowadays it's like you meet the kids' friends and they're like, they're not one specific way of identifying their sexuality. It's all very open now.
Yeah, it's definitely more positive in certain groups, like for women to also be just as sexual inside as men. I mean, it's such a funny time because there's also that thing of they're kind of less sexually active.
Well, they're taking less risks. People are more cautious, and some of that might be to do with the fact that they're being filmed by their friends all the time.
Right.
So if you think about all the stupid shit that we got up to, that is just a memory. There's no footage of it. There's no records. That is something I think about with the kids now, that they're like, the idea that all their naughty behavior might be documented. Like, if you pass out at a party and people are stepping over you, we were talking about, like, I've done that before. I've been like curled up in the corner on a floor at a house party as a teenager. You wouldn't do that now. You'd be on everybody's Snapchats.
Yeah. No, I know. I had that party and Gwyneth was in a dog bed, but just like curled up, like not even that wasted or anything, but just, I don't know that she would even do that, you know, if she was a teen in this climate.
Yeah.
Because you're branding and everything. But yeah, it's interesting. I was trying to think about why, one of the people who interviewed me was saying, why were you so comfortable going after, like, having sexual experiences, which I didn't have like more than other people, but I maybe it appears that I did. But I'm still trying to kind of understand my motivation for that.
I get a lot of targeted advertising on Instagram telling me that hypersexuality is an ADHD
But I wasn't
response.
I don't know that I was hypersexual. I just thought of it as a kind of experience to get close to people, like jamming. You know what I mean? Like, it's sort of something to do.
We jamming.
If you admire somebody, it's an interesting experience to have together.
That is so deeply healthy in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess so.
Like, there's a lack of sexual shame in it,
Yeah.
which is like kind of rare in a society that can be puritanical about sex. Yeah.
But I was like looking for Mr. Goodbar.
No way. But you found him. Here I am.
What do they call it? My body count?
Your body count.
It's not that high, but I think I'm just good at writing about it.
I'm really excited about the next month. We've got a lot of really fun events coming up. There's Ione's book events. You can get on her social, see all of those. I've got shows around Australia.
Yeah, you can see me in person in LA, New York, Sydney.
And then around Australia, still lock them in, but they'll be all on your socials.
Yeah.
And I got a bunch of shows, and then gearing up for some pretty fun stuff later in the year too. Some Awake is the New Sleep stuff. I don't want to give too much away, but it is the 20th anniversary, and there have been known to have festivities for this sort of thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, beautiful babies, thank you for joining us.
Thank you,
We're
beautiful
light
babies.
as a feather,
Love
we're
ya.
tougher than leather. Together we're weirder together.